Happy Thursday and welcome to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great things with his networking and financial literacy events. Check out winagainacademy.com. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Mackie Feierstein with the UM ticketing office. But for those of you who don't know Mackie, I'll let him introduce himself. I always find it's better for people to tell you who they are than for me to try and tell you who you are.
Sure. Well, Matt, thanks so much for having me on your show. Big fan. You and I have known each other for many, many years. I think that'll probably be a theme of what we'll talk about. A little bit myself. Again, my name is Mackie Feierstein, not to be confused with Firestone Tires. And I have been in the sports industry for almost 20 years. Kind of look back and realize that I'm still a young chicken in the industry. And a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Went to school in Ohio, Worcester, played tennis there, moved down to Florida, got my master's at Miami, and literally never left. Really built up my book of business. And I've worked for the Honda Golf Classic, the Orange Bowl Committee, the Miami Dolphins, the Florida Panthers, Orlando City, Philadelphia Soul, and I've been with UM Athletics for the last 6 years. So when I kind of look back at all the time, it's pretty amazing that I've been able to be so many different places, but also stay in South Florida for most of my career. Because in sports, normally you got to move around.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to do. So to be able to jump and stay for the most part, but get some hardware elsewhere too, which we'll talk about, is pretty cool. Mackie and I met playing softball. We played in a co-ed softball league down in Hollywood. I met a lot of people who were friends of mine going into it, and met some good friends through it. And it was a fun time. Do you still play softball?
I watch. Now on Sundays, I was playing more hockey, but that was a great time. And for the audience out there, that was a great time to learn who I was, put myself out there. And again, it was a singles league. However, I was doing more from camaraderie, getting to know people. I met Matt. Matt went to Florida. I have ties to Miami. So you would think that there's this rivalry, which, yes, it exists. However, we've been able to stay friends throughout the years and all, and stay in touch. And I mean, I look back, we started that a long time ago, and still being able to talk and have conversations, I think is awesome. And is a testament to really what we'll talk about. Relationships are the key to everything that you do in life.
Yeah, I think it was it was a social thing. I did it to play, but it was more of a social thing, and it was fun. And, we had some success also, but anytime you could I played dodgeball and kickball. All of those are it's fun. It's great to meet people. You just never know when you're going to meet someone, whether it could be, the right person, for dating. And you and I just were talking off air about Michael Katos and his playing the field, whether it's for dating or it's friends or business, or it could be someone down the line, who knows. You eventually married someone who I am friends with, who I went to University of Florida with. And, it's funny how, maybe you might have met before, maybe even seen them before, but, these type of interactions are what brings people together. And, it's just fun. Timing is everything, and relationships.
Yeah. And ironically, and Amy will probably kill me for talking about this, but we had been in the same circle of people for many years. And ironically, I dated a few of her sorority sisters throughout the years and all. And however, I really met her through you, through Coach Farah and Jeff Hirsch, and the rest is history of how we met. We met through JDate. Yes, people do meet on the internet, and met for coffee, had a great conversation, and it kind of led to another. And ironically, the next day, I actually resigned from the Orange Bowl Committee to go to the Miami Dolphins. So she was the first person who knew what I was going to be doing before I even was ready to tell the public. And like the Dolphins, that was always like my dream. When I moved down here, I went to Miami. I always wanted to work for the Miami Dolphins. And quick story there, when I was in grad school, I had did an internship there. I was in the old ticket office, what they call the dungeon, which is really where all the money was kept. And they created an area there because you call it the vault. And my first experience was I walked in there and I was handed basically a phone book and some names to call. And there was a guy there. His name was Lewis, and he was getting all the leads from the ticket office. So the first day when I left there, I was very distraught. I went home. I was like, all right, I can't do this. I can't figure things out. However, I learned very early how invaluable relationships are. So I made it my duty to get to know all of the ticket office guys. So therefore, when leads are coming in there, they'll think of not only Lewis, but Mackie in there. And ironically, I stay in touch with a lot of those guys now. I was texting earlier with Ivan Marin from the old box office back in when I was there. And he's a season ticket holder of ours at the Canes. And we talk on a regular basis. And again, this is not about tickets or sales. It's more of genuinely wanting to know how people are doing, being able to relate with them. And you never know down the road how people are going to come into your life. And at that time, there may be a professional opportunity or something personal or something else that comes up. And I think it's very, very important to make sure that you stay true to who you are and focus on that, because there's the whole adage that the nice guys finish last. I think during this whole COVID thing, that has changed. The folks that are genuinely reaching out and saying, Matt, how are you doing? And not asking for anything and not expecting anything in return are the ones who are going to come through this. And that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. I'm very authentic. I'm true. Yes, I'm a salesperson. I can be aggressive. However, there's a way to do it. And I think by building sustainable relationships that are built on trust and understanding and knowing something about somebody, when you go to them, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, that was one thing that I was hesitant to go into sales, and my dad said, do it. You don't have to worry about that. But I think COVID, there's a lot of people who want to appear to be helpful, and they do it publicly and they're not. But there are a lot of people who, like you and me, who will help and will be true to our word. So, you know, it's a good time, and it's unfortunate that it takes stuff like this for you to realize, you know. But on the other hand, I see people doing things and I get inspired. That's why we started the Learning LinkedIn series, because there were so many other people on LinkedIn who were helping others. And I'm like, okay, what I got to do? Put a couple hours into it. These guys are sharing jobs all day, every day, and nothing in it for them, just doing it. So it's great to be able to do that. We have someone here showing some love with the same last name as you. We'll give her a shout out. So you and I actually have, you know, there's so much intertwined in our lives, even after we met, because I married someone who's from Philly, who actually went to UM grad school, and my father-in-law has season tickets, and you were connected to him. So it's crazy how connected, and you just don't even know it. I met my wife on Bumble too, online. It really doesn't matter where you meet someone, but it's just to the point of, you know, take a shot at whatever it is. You just never know what good can come from it. And you don't want to end up regretting that I didn't do this. And I'm not really like a serendipitous kind of person, you know, because I think that movie was a little crazy, but there are, you know, moments and destiny and timing about everything. It's interesting that way.
Yeah, short story. So Jay, your father-in-law, I actually was his group sales representative at the Dolphins. And again, the Dolphins, I was there from 2002 to 2008. Yes, look, I'm a little older than maybe some of your other folks on here, but I still feel young and alive. And we stayed in touch. When I went to the Florida Panthers, he bought some tickets there. When I moved down to UM, he came there. And granted, look, he's in Philadelphia. I'm in Philadelphia. We always talk about or commiserate up until 2018 when the Eagles won the championship. We always talked about when are the Flyers are going to be good, or the Sixers, or the Phillies and Eagles. And I think that you have that connection on there. And then ironically, when we was talking, he's like, do you know my daughter? I'm like, no. And I looked her up, and then I realized, and then it comes full circle when you called me up and said, hey, I want to introduce you to my fiance. And you told me to tell me, I'm like, hold on a second. Is that, and then it's like go full circle. So I called Jay. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I didn't know you knew Matt. So like, again, it's all connected in there.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that being connected with people and understanding relationship and asking questions and finding stuff out about people is awesome in there. And I know it's something that I pride myself in, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I love LinkedIn, which I'll talk about in a second. We got some comments here. It's actually Froyo and not YoFro for Brent. I'm sure he knows that, and he's just trying to be a smart ass. We got some family love here. Amy thinks Serendipity is the best movie. We'll agree to disagree and move on, and we'll hit that on our movie episode. And Brent is talking about Back to the Future, of course. So we're all caught up in the comments here, but I love LinkedIn because of the connection, and it works sort of in the way that maybe Facebook and Twitter and Instagram work, where if I click it, there's an opportunity for my whole network. But I think it's stronger because just clicking a button, just commenting, can open it up to all 6,000 of my connections, and then they can click it. And so it's incredible how easy it is to help people, and how it is to connect with people that you didn't even know. You're like, look at them, and it's like, we have 275 mutual connections. Like, that's crazy. But then, you also have the people who won't accept your connection. And I'm like, dude, we have 275 mutual connections. How many people do you have more connections with than that? So, but it's great to connect. How do you use, I want to get into, how it started and all this. While we're on the topic of LinkedIn, how do you use LinkedIn and social media, as part of your process today, which is much different than it was, when you were back in the phone book?
Yeah, well, I would say that 5 years ago, LinkedIn was really a sales tool. And I've kind of learned through some of my mentors. I'm going to give a shout out to Steve and Mark Nudelberg right now. They have this series of LinkedIn Learn Like a Pro. And I really feel that LinkedIn is a tool to connect businesses. However, you're really trying to learn as much about somebody as you can, and putting content out there that shows who you are, what you believe, and like you mentioned, commenting on stuff. It doesn't take very long to click or to like or put a comment in there. I think those things show that you genuinely care what the person is saying and understanding. And so I kind of cringe when I see a lot of sales messages up there of trying to proactively sell. I think it's more of, yes, you can put your brand out there and put pictures and all, but I think that it's all about connecting people and finding a way to see, all right, Matt Wolff is with a Ticket Time Machine, Athletics. Is there a fit? Ultimately, that's what you're trying to accomplish. But for me, I have a lot of connections on there, but now I only will accept if somebody sends me a personal invitation and knows exactly how they know me. So for example, if someone's watching the show and says, hey, I saw you with Matt today, that right there, all right, probably something to have a virtual cup of coffee. And that's something that starting last March, when we all went into quarantine and working from home, and we can talk about that in a bit, is more of the ability to connect with people virtually. It's always been there, but now like it's too easy. It's too easy to get a C-level executive or somebody at early in the morning or late at night, 15, 20 minutes, they're home. You hear the dogs barking, the kids in the other room. And there's a lot of similarities that go on there. And I think it's very, very important to to make sure there's a balance when it comes to that. So like for me, when I post stuff on LinkedIn, it's something that's either personal to me or I want to share some news I think that someone else out there may enjoy or say, you know what, I got something from that.
Yeah. I think it's networking. So you don't have to be in sales. You don't have to be selling anything. It's just networking. It's an easy way to connect. It's like you said, it's an easy way to let people know who you are and what you believe in. Look, I'll throw a sales line in one of my things because I have to connect sometimes what I'm doing, but I don't think it's not the best place to sell. Even if you can argue whether it's the right or wrong, I just don't think it's an effective way to sell. Whether you think it's the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, there's better ways, but it's a great way to connect. Take that connection, turn it into a conversation, turn it into email, a call, or face-to-face, or support, and find out who you can support. And you mentioned to look at the connection, but also everybody knows someone who can help you. So I know people, people that can help me. I know people who can help you. And let's just try and figure out how that can be, because we're all, just everyone needs help to get where they need to go. That's the first thing. And we're not really in competition. So look, we could talk about LinkedIn all day. Let's talk about your journey in the sales business. Because you started out sales in tickets, and where you're at today is really, it's a lot different than just selling tickets, because you're involved in, we're not going to get into the weeds of it, but you're involved in so much more than just picking up the phone and trying to sell tickets. It involves in logistics and all this other stuff. So how did you get from wanting to be selling tickets, which some people always want to sell, they don't want to do anything else, to where you're at today?
So ironically, I was a tennis player growing up, and then I broke my arm when I was 16. I was ranked heavily in my area and actually had a good year. And that kind of was a blessing in disguise, because I was kind of pushed to play tennis, and I really had kind of fallen out of love of it. But I always wanted to work in sports. I knew that some way, shape, or form, I was going to be in sports. There was a time where I wanted to be a sports journalist and I wanted to announce games. So I'd practice at home. And then I kind of realized, all right, that is really tough in there. And growing up, I was challenged with my name. I didn't like Mackie. I didn't like Mac. I didn't like, because people would call me Big Mac and some other stuff. However, I recognized that was a huge marketing tool for me, because it's not very often that you would run into a Mackie. So when I was in grad school, I learned to brand myself and utilize my name. And I have a very complicated last name. Yes, I had to use the tongue-in-cheek with Firestone versus Feierstein, but in reality, by being able to say Mackie, it's easier than when you have a common name. When it comes to, yes, there's Mackie Sasser, and sometimes I don't want to be associated because of not being able to throw the ball back from catcher. Then you have Bob Mackie, the designer. So yes, so there's some few out there. However, I have a name that is unique. It's different, and it's helped open up some doors. So when I was in school, I love meeting people and talking to people and going to events that I know nobody and putting myself out there. And that's something that I kind of learned very young. Didn't have a lot of mentors in high school. Now I'm a mentor for college students and people that are breaking the industries. And I wish that what we have now, we had back when we were in school. But you live and you learn. And I started to realize that I kind of had a knack of being able to talk to people and being able to relate. And when I was asked, do you want to sell tickets? I'm like, sure. Didn't really know too much. So my first job selling tickets was with the Honda Golf Classic. And that was back when it was old. There was no Arctics. There was no ticket. It was basically, you had ticket stock and you had to figure stuff out, and a lot of cash and checks and all. So I would go out to events, set up a table, talk to people, and say, hey, do you want to come? And when you're trying to sell golf, for those that are sports fans out there, it is very hard to sell an event when you don't know if Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson or Justin Thomas or any of those big name players are playing, and they have up until the Friday prior to commit. So you have to learn, okay, if I don't know who the player are, what can I rely on? Relationships, experience, value. I learned those very, very young. So like I never really get caught up on wins and losses. And granted, my career, if you look at all the teams, I have more losses than wins. However, have a lot of wins from a sales standpoint. So I think I got to be doing something right when it comes there. So I kind of really learned, developed relationships, and was able to parlay that to another job with the Orange Bowl committee. And then again, like my goal was to get to the Dolphins. So I would be calling the Dolphins literally almost every other week, checking in. Steve Bronner, I developed a relationship with him. He was the first one to really help me in my feet in the door at the Dolphins. And then finally, he gave me a call in, I think it was March of 2002, said, hey, we got this account manager job with the Dolphins, group tickets. You interested? I'm like, absolutely. I didn't really pay attention to the role. I was like, absolutely. So I came in for the interview, and ironically, I wasn't their first choice. I wasn't their second choice. I think I was their third or fourth. But you know what? I didn't care because I wanted to be there, and I was able to parlay that into a great 6 years at the Dolphins, where I was able to grow and evolve from there. And that kind of really set my chain reaction in motion in there, like of the drive of wanting to make a career out of this.
Yeah, I've had some bad experiences with some ticket account managers, specifically at the Dolphins, but also elsewhere, even at University of Florida, which, you know, it's and I think it's because they either don't care about building a relationship or they don't know how to build a relationship. I think those are the two big sticking points for me, from what I can tell. And it's a tough business, though, you know, selling tickets. It's tough. I don't care, you know, unless you're the Miami Heat when you have LeBron and Wade, and you can, you know, cut your whole team and you don't have to sell tickets. It's tough. The Dolphins, you know, ask anyone who's selling the Dolphins, and you sell with the Panthers and the Marlins. I mean, those are not easy tickets to sell, partly because they don't have a history of winning so much, and that's always going to help. But it is the experience also. So with golf, it's going to be like, what is my day going to be like, even if Tiger doesn't show up? And we have Adam Barron coming. Do you know Adam with Delray Beach Oval? Yeah, he's going to come on the Wolff Den soon and talk about that too, because, you know, same idea with tennis. If someone falls out, it's not like, okay, we've won it all. You know, that type of sport is different to sell. So how do you adjust between the different environments of selling for, you know, the golf, selling for the Dolphins, which is, you know, I think people admit the Dolphins is the team of South Florida that people like the most, and then going to, you know, the Panthers, which was a very, very tough sell, I know. And then, you know, going to Orlando, which is new and exciting. And then you go to Seoul and they win a championship. So how does that differ as you go from job to job?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't. It's more of a process. And for me, I've stayed true to my values in there of making sure it's based on the relationships. You mentioned earlier some bad customer experiences. It happens. But I think it also comes down to training and making sure people are put in the position to be successful. You can teach somebody how to sell gadgets. However, you have to have the drive and the passion, the desire to want to talk to people. I mean, when you're calling 100 people, you get 8 to 10 people to say yes. That's good. You look at baseball, Hall of Fame career is 3 out of 10, 300. You wouldn't think that's a good number, but it is. In there. And a lot of people don't like to hear rejection. And look, the worst thing somebody can tell you is no. And the earlier you can learn to accept that, you can become more valuable to an organization and all, because then you'll be able to brush it off and move on.
Well, that used to be the worst thing. Now the worst thing is not hearing back from someone. I'd rather get a no or a go F yourself than than that. But look, I've been in sales a long time. I still hate getting no's. I still sometimes hesitate to pick up the phone and make a call because you almost feel like that the no is coming. But it's all, you got to be able to do that, even not just in sales, to kind of like expect what was going to happen. React as if though you expected that was going to happen instead of letting them, see you upset or anything like that.
Yeah, look, sales is all about ebbs and flows. And if you have the mindset that that Mackie is going to say no, then Mackie is going to say no. And it's all, look, I've had my slumps over my career. I mean, everybody does. It's more of embracing them and understanding that they happen. And the best thing that you can do is overcome them and find a way to move on. But again, like, there's a reason why there's an inside sales program, and a majority of folks don't last the first few weeks because they're like, all right, this is too hard. This isn't for me. But if you're able to make it the first week and then a month and then 2 months and 6 months in and 9 months in, then you get promoted, then the sky's the limit when it comes there. But you have to have the mindset that you're going to be rejected over and over and over again. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to want to buy from Matt or Mackie or your team. It's all about finding the right fit for the consumer, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship. They want to trust you. They want to be able to say, okay, what do you recommend when it comes there? And I've dealt with C-level executives down to an individual ticket buyer. And yes, look, the spend is different. It could be $20 up to $50,000 or more. It's all about treating them the same way and recognizing the fact that that person who sits at the 300 level could be a Fortune 500 owner. However, he likes to sit upstairs. So going in with the notion, oh, well, he sits in the 300 level, aka the nosebleeds or up in God's country and all. You never know unless you ask those types of questions. And we have at Miami, we have seen ticket holders that are C-level executives. They like to sit up there for those reasons. And you know how I know? Because I've asked those questions, and those are the kind of folks that have the propensity to do an individual suite or a group or something else. But again, it comes down to asking the right questions and knowing as much about your consumers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's also asking through conversation instead of just a survey. I mean, we've all fill out surveys. I don't know how honest everyone is with a survey when you can just click, but if you're sitting in front of someone, and you've built that trust, there's a very good chance they're just going to be candid with you and tell you what they're thinking. So I think that's a good point. When I started to have some success in sales and was looking for other jobs, it's very tough to find the line between a sales job and a call center, which is also a sales job, but they kept like reaching out and saying, we have this job. Like if, there's 14, 15 people in the same room doing, that's a much different sell than, an account manager who's out there making calls and it's separate and you're kind of building that. How do you guys differentiate that as someone who oversees?
I think the whole thing really comes down to the mindset. To me, sales is a skill that there should be a major in there. And I think it's something that everybody has. Everybody's doing it in whatever you're doing. You're talking to a friend and you want them to understand your point of perspective. You're selling them. You're having an argument with your parent and you want to be able to go out or have allowance and all. You have to learn these things. And ironically, I teach a course at Miami. It's a sports sales class. And that is really what it is. I let them understand that from when you're a kid to now, you're constantly selling yourself. And I have student athletes in there. I have regulars. I have general students that are there as well. I have sports marketing. And that's something that I share with them. So you may want to go to the league, which is great because everybody has dreams and they should reach for the stars. However, when you go into that interview and they're talking to you, they're gonna be asking questions. Yes, your skill on the field or the pitch or the court or in the swim pool and all is important. However, they're going to ask who you are as a person. How do you do in school? What would your friends say about you? What would your teachers say about you? And honestly, I see some of the reactions over the last couple of years when I bring that up initially, and they're like, "Oh, I never really thought like that." So I think it's important to understand you need to. It's something that you always are constantly evolving when it comes to there. And if I'm ever asked about, hey, what do you think of this person? I'm going to give them the honest truth. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, hey, they were a model citizen if I know that they really weren't. So like I'm a very observant person. I pay attention. I saw my buddy Nuge on there. I want to give him a shout out. Actually, he over the years we've developed a great relationship. Even though we've left different places, he referred over one of his best friends, purchased a suite last week. So thank you very much, Mr. Nugent. And again, I think it's all about treating people the way they want to be treated and understanding and recognizing the fact of that is a skill we're constantly doing. So you mentioned a few minutes ago of the call center versus sales. I think we're constantly selling on a regular basis. And yes, the days of the boiler room of being, and you have all the people calling and you hear all the phones and the bell. Yes, that exists. However, we are always trying to sell and evolve. When trades are made in sports or stock market stuff, like those are, you're selling. You're giving your money to somebody. Okay, why am I giving my money to ABC Corporation? Well, because I trust them. I think they're going to create value for me. Like these are things that go in life. And like when I look for people to hire or reach out, I go based on referrals and what people think more. Yeah. So yes, you put stuff out there, which is, you have to. However, it's best to go with people who know somebody that can at least provide you guidance. And then look, ultimately it's up to that person to punch through the door. But you rely on all those things.
I don't know what movie he's talking about, but I'm still mad at Brent for inviting Nugent to the Gator game, and he gave us bad juju, and the Gators got their ass kicked when he was sitting with us. So I'll have to tell Brent about that. We're always selling. Job hunt, you're selling yourself. Everything's about sales. I think there's value to having a sales major in college, although ironically, the most successful people I know in sales actually never went to college. So I don't know that you need to go to college for it, but I certainly think it's helpful for a lot of reasons, because college in a way is all about relationships and experiencing and finding out, more about life when you have the opportunity to make choices. Whereas basically, up until you go to college, all your choices are made for you. The other ironic thing is I don't believe that there's a sales playbook. Like it works differently for different people. Some are pushy, some are not pushy, some are phony. There's some used car salespeople out there who are very successful. Some are doing it what I would consider the right way or the honest way. But I still think there's value to it. So I think a class, like you teaching that is great. The one thing I'll say about the difference between maybe inside sales and boiler rooms, and when you're trying to, and why I think maybe there's a big problem with sales, is sales for a company in a lot of ways is a very easy hire. There's not a lot of skin in the game for the company because the sales is revenue generating, right? So they'll be able to, if you're not performing, they'll let you go and you're not making money. But if you are, they're going to make a lot of money. And so, one of the things I didn't like is, hey, I know we're hiring 5 or 6 of these people and we're just going to throw stuff and, if 3 of them stick, that's great. If 3 of them don't, it's not a big deal. And so with that, you get, some bad people, and then maybe you just still need them so you continue it. That's part of the problem, I think, with salespeople that I encounter. Either not good enough customer service or too much customer service and not enough knowledge. So it's a real delicate balance between the two. It's like, I think it was my grandma or mom always said, like, do you want a doctor who knows what he's doing or a doctor with a good bedside manner? Well, ideally you'd have both, but I'm probably going to pick the one who knows what he's doing more than the one who has a better bedside manner if I have to choose one. So, that's sort of my view on sales. And I think it's great. I think, it gives you flexibility. One of the only things to allow you to control your own destiny in a lot of ways. And, great relationships people make. So I wish I had gotten into sales earlier. I wish I started my company earlier, but you can only do what you can do, right?
Yeah, look, ironically, to me, there are two things that are hugely important when you're building out a team or organization, culture and people. You have to have great culture, and then you have to have great people. So you talked about the fact that you hire 14 people and maybe 3 stick. I think it comes down to making sure you do your due diligence and hire the best people possible. And again, for me, I look for 4 things. It's an acronym team. They need to be tenacious, hungry for the position or whatever it is. They need to be energetic. You have to be excited for what you're doing. You need to be accountable. That is something where you need to learn young to be accountable for stuff. And then the 4th thing, you got to be motivated for regardless of what you do. And if you have those things, again, I feel as though somebody can be taught certain skills. You need to have those things inside. So there's always this intrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. And I know we're not going into the psychology side here, but like that to me is there. You really have to have it in you. And I've looked at, for me, do I want to be in sports? Do I want to be out of sports? And like, I'm passionate about sports. That is something that I've done my whole entire life. So it would be very hard to transition to something that is not sports specific unless it's something that I am passionate and excited, and I can wake up every day and say, you know what, this is what I want to be doing. So that to me, it all ties together.
I love for team. It's great. I think all of those are important. I love the saying, there is no I in team, but there is a me in team. So, I don't know. Take that for what you want. Tell me about, so your journey was a lot of South Florida, and Brent loves when I say journey, so I'm going to say it as much as I can. But you went to Orlando, and then you go to Philadelphia and have some success. You actually have a ring, right, from Philadelphia?
You're bringing up a sore subject. I actually left right before they won.
Oh, wow.
So I do have a ring from 2018 when Miami won the ACC Coastal, which is the first time. So I do have a ring. I did not wear it today because I did not know we were going that route. But again, so part of my journey is when I left the Panthers, I kind of was at a crossroads as to what I was going to do. Went up to Orlando for a period of time. And again, we talk about fit. It wasn't the right fit for me. And being from Philadelphia, wanted to experience going home for a period of time. And then once I got up there, it was the worst winter of all time. It was literally below 32 forever. My wife loves the cold weather. So I braved it, but I was miserable. I wasn't happy what I was doing. However, working for the Soul really brought me back to my core, because that was an awesome organization to work for. And the ownership group with Ron Jaworski and some of the other ones there, that was so much fun to do. And again, you're in a market where there's 5 other teams, and it's arena football, and people are like, what is this? Let me tell you, it is awesome to go there live, to sit in the field club seats, which ironically all the NFL teams and other teams have them now, where the people can catch the ball and then they can land in your seat off the boards and all. So a lot of fun. And if people don't understand what it is, you got to come out to a game very family oriented, very fast, high scoring, no punting, kicking and all. So there's a lot of special. So it was fun, enjoyable, but again, my passion, and I wanted to get back to South Florida. It was a matter of not if, but when. And it happened a little quicker than probably my family would have liked. However, I had to get back to what would make me happy. And that kind of brings us to today.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Amy and the family for supporting. That's another tough thing that people endure with sports. We've had people who had to kind of leave their profession because the only next move was to leave the area. And I know Amy's got roots down here. So it takes a real supportive family and circle to be able to make that transition, which is great. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention that the ring that you have is for UM basketball. I don't want people probably think you're talking about football, but in fact, they have not won the ACC in football since joining. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that the ring was for basketball.
So to clarify, it was for winning the Coastal division. We got rings. So yes, we did win the ACC Coastal. We did fall a little short against Clemson. However, yes, we did that year, and it's not for basketball.
Oh, I thought, but you did win the ACC in basketball one
Correct.
year. Yeah.
Correct.
No, it's a great. I mean, you get to see some great teams. You've had some great teams at UM. Obviously, have a rich history, and seen some great teams. What's the give me the? I always like to ask for Mount Rushmores. So, give me the Mount Rushmores of games that you have been to, as an employee, and it could be a combination of all of them, like special games. Give me your top 4.
Whew. Wish I was prepared for this. Number
4 that stand out.
Number 4 would be the my first game back at Miami when we came back against Nebraska. In the game we were losing, I was standing in the field club, and I was about to walk away, and then the game all changed. It changed, so I didn't leave the spot at all. Number 3, I would say in 2000, I think it was 2003 when I was with the Miami Dolphins. I had sold an exorbitant amount of group tickets to the Philadelphia Eagles, not realizing the backlash that I would get and the joy of seeing that many fans. And then on Monday Night Football, being able to hear the EAGLES chant probably was not the best thing, because the next day I had a candid conversation with my boss and kind of learned that, all right, you can sell visiting team tickets, but let's not take it to that extreme. Number 2 for me would be Game 7 when I was with the Florida Panthers against the New Jersey Devils. We lost in double overtime. Like, that was awesome. Awesome experience. My family was there. And yes, we lost. We sold a lot of tickets, but that showed what the BB&T Center could be on an annual basis in there. So, like, there are Panther fans down here. It's a matter that you got to find them on a regular basis and get them excited. Yes, I think, look, the team needs to do their part. However, I don't really get focused too much on that. And then number 1, without a doubt, was when we played Notre Dame in November of 2017, and the game day, and it was electric at Hard Rock Stadium, and we annihilated them, that 40-8. But not that. That was the loudest I have ever heard Hard Rock Stadium for any concert or any Dolphin game. That was an amazing, amazing game. And I had a lot of pride of being a part of being able to sell as many season tickets in groups for that experience and all. And great time.
So all great events. I could probably count on my hands the number of times that I will root for Miami football. And I can tell you that game was one of them. I was very happy to see them crush Notre Dame, because I am really not I hate Notre Dame. I don't really like to use the word hate with sports, but I hate Notre Dame. And is there anything better than Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs? I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. I remember watching. I think maybe Amy knows Amy Rosenthal. I was at Amy Rosenthal's house, watching the Devils and the Red Wings in overtime. Just unbelievable. You don't even have to be a hockey fan, but Game 7 or overtime in playoff Game 7, unbelievable experience. And
hockey is the best sport watch live, but also when it comes to Stanley Cup playoffs, you got to win 16 games. I think the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in there. So, like, unless you're a true hockey fan, and again, I'm from Philadelphia, so huge Flyers fan. The Flyers are gonna unfortunately fall short this year, but that's what sports is. It has ebbs and flows when it comes to those things. But yeah, that was an amazing experience.
The Panthers are doing well this year, so hopefully they'll keep it going. But as I mentioned, my wife is from Philly, and she's a huge professional sports fan for Philly. And so, we support the teams, but we've had some fun times at the Marlins and Phillies, and I know you were there, and then you and I ran into each other at the Flyers Panthers game. I'm pretty sure the Panthers won that game. I think it was pretty good. But, so she's huge into Philly, so I'm always watching. And so there's always a Phillies game or a Flyers game or Eagles and Sixers. Rank those four teams in terms of your fanhood. I always like to ask her. I mean, I know what hers are, but what's your four? What's the rankings for Philly teams?
Fourth would be Sixers. Third would be Phillies. 2 would be Flyers, and number 1, without a doubt, Eagles. Eagles.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Where are the Devils? Brent's doing some Seinfeld stuff. Everything goes back to Seinfeld for us. Seinfeld and the Gators. I think that's I actually have an art that has Seinfeld and the Gators kind of combined in a way. 2 things. We're actually going to have him on the Wolff Den too, Matthew Brennan.
We could have talked about Seinfeld. I love that show. Seinfeld
is it's great. I love that show. What do you guys watch a lot? I mean, on Netflix and stuff. Do you guys have movies that you've seen or any shows that you guys have watched lately?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have watched over quarantine when it comes to those sorts of things. So like I am actually blanking on them right now because trying to think like what we really watch now. Watch Manifest. That I think that's it. We were big fans of Lost, so very important to talk about there. Still fans of Grey's Anatomy. There's some new shows that are out there that we've been watching. Big Karate Kid. So if you've been watching any, oh yes, there we go. So we got Fauda. Fauda is an awesome show. If you have a chance to watch that. There's also yes, Jack Ryan.
I was an answer on Jeopardy. Did you watch Aaron Rodgers on Jeopardy? I thought he was okay. Not great. I thought he was okay.
Yeah, I saw that right now he's ranked 3rd of celebrity judges. He's in third place.
Anderson is very good, but what he does, and my wife and I watch Jeopardy. We record it, but we try and watch it every day. Anderson hesitates until he says right, and you think it's the wrong answer. So he's got to hurry up on that. But he's pretty good too.
Well, I think that's kind of how he's. I think that's how he's doing on his show. If you watch the show, he sometimes takes a pause there. So I think it's a natural thing. I don't know him at all, so I'm not going to comment there. But you can pick it up.
Talk about your daughter. You got about 10 minutes left. We're going to get into some other stuff. We're supposed to talk about your daughter, so let's do it.
No, I think she's saying that I have to get
your daughter, right? Oh, I forgot. You told me there was a hard stop. I forgot. My apologies. I know you got to go. I knew there was something connected here. I'm like, yeah, talk about her daughter. Talk about her. Let's do it. I'm going to let you out of here on this the same way I let everyone else out on. We got one person you can meet and spend time with. You have 24 hours. They have to be alive. You can't be related to them. Who is it? And what would you be doing with them? We're going to put them on a list, and we're going to make it happen for one of our guests. Right back at you, Amy.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. Okay. We got to wait till he recovers because I assume you're going to want to play some golf with him.
I have been a fan of Tiger Woods since he came on. I know his whole story and all, and I think he's got such a fascinating story. And yes, I would love to play a round of golf with him, but really to sit down with him and talk to him and find out the background with Earl Woods, because I had a challenging childhood growing up with my dad and all. So I think there's some similarities there. And I find him very fascinating as an individual. And granted, look, I think he's the greatest golfer of all time. That part of there, but being able to talk to him and really have a candid conversation with him would be amazing.
Yeah, because I was just in an event I was talking to people about, because Tamir Goodman, who's the Jewish Jordan, you probably know, Freddie Adu. These are people who had such high expectations, and they were very good, but they didn't get to the level. And Tiger just ran with it. Very few people who did that. He's on the list. I actually don't think you're the first person, but we're going to make it happen. Maybe we'll all play around the golf. Apologize for going over. I completely forgot about that. Go get your daughter. Great to see you. You can get Mackie on Twitter and Instagram. Mackie Fire, UM ticket office. He also has a professor at the UM's class. So if you know anyone who wants to take that class, get in touch. Very accessible on LinkedIn. Great to have you here. We'll talk again soon.
Matt, this was awesome. Great conversation. Yes, I will go get Ava. Thank you.
See ya.
Take care.